going on, everybody? Bobby Fire, Sheets Haber. We're going to be talking through this massive MLB slate here on Friday. Hope you're all doing well. I had a good afternoon slate. I was just talking with Sheets pre-show. I finished third in the ball four for a few thousand, and then I played just one entry in that, and then a single entry, $27. I finished second in that one, but just made up for Ja getting injured. And after Sheets very kindly jinxed me.
Yep.
She sent out the tweet about it because I said, my hot take was that Memphis not only could win, but Memphis would win handily.
They were.
And they were. I mean, you couldn't handle any more than 30 in the second quarter, and then the jaw injury just sort of sucked the life out of everything, and kind of disappointing. But also disappointing from a DFS perspective because I almost had like 90% of them by the time all was said and done.
Yeah.
All the late swaps and everything. So a little bit tilting, but ready to move on to today. We can't win every night. So Sheets, how'd you do? And we'll get into this later.
A couple of cashes along the way, but nothing that would lead me to profitability. Just nothing. I had unfortunately a decent amount. I probably had like not as much as you. I had like 70% jaw. And even though I had like a good amount of Pippin, that wasn't enough. So the other one I had not that he completely busted, but I had all of Mr. Five Fouls, Jalen Duran.
Oh yeah, that was annoying. The foul trouble for him was, and then it also got your guy. That was the only way Paul Reed.
That's right.
The only way he gets there, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna feel like an idiot. But then
did he even get there? What did he get? 12 or something?
Yeah, like 15.
Yeah.
Which I mean, in the playoffs, I guess is kind of getting there. And then, of course, Alex Caruso becomes the greatest fantasy player ever in the postseason for some reason.
Oh, but forget that. Then the total freaking dagger to end the game too. I mean, like got the steal and the layup or something. That was like,
that's brutal. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a close game for.
No. Especially Jaws not in.
Yeah, and there were some other interesting, NBA games. I wasn't surprised by the Clippers dominating the Nuggets.
Oh, you said that. I
felt like that could happen. I was very surprised with the Nuggets deciding to go away from Westbrook, and maybe they realized in a series like this, they actually need a guy like Westbrook. There's a lot of good active bodies that just get their hands on everything. You can't just play regular post like your normal half-court offense against this Clippers team, and Westbrook and sort of the franticness and all that, I think would actually be helpful for them. And then the other game, the Knicks and Pistons, I have to say it was a win. I did not find it a particularly impressive win. I also I felt good because I felt like, Cat was heavily involved. He had a good game, not like an incredible game where you needed him, but at low ownership, that was something that looked like it was going to work out. And I have to say, I like the Knicks on paper more than I like them in person. And I feel like this team should be a little bit better than what they are. That's what my take was. Any thoughts on that?
I thought they did their thing. I don't know. I thought they were fine. I thought they were not supposed to. I thought they were live to get the win. They got a kind of an ugly win, and they're not great. I never made them to be like the Cavs.
Oh, no, you didn't. I just look at their roster, and I feel like they have the team. I'm like, oh, okay, they've got all these wings with the length, and they should be good defensively, and they're not very good defensively. And then they've got Cat, and they, this sort of like strange offense that they could run with him, but it just feels like a little bit blah. And I don't have a high expectations for them to get out of the next round once they advance.
Well, I mean, who would they play? The Celtics, right? I mean,
yeah, but I thought, early in the season, I thought they could give the Celtics like a little bit of a run. I just don't think there's any way. Unless Tatum is really hurt or the Magic beat the hell out of a couple more of the Celtics and see if they can knock some of these guys out for the postseason.
Yeah.
It's been a bloodbath. That's been the story. I mean, it's been so physical, these games.
Yeah.
And I kind of love it, but it's a little too much. And and everybody who wants to blame Lou Dort for Jaws thing, they can get the hell out of here. That was completely by accident. That was ridiculous. And the Warriors, people complaining about Amen Thompson being too physical and dirty when they have Draymond Green on their team is going to be hard for me to understand. So anyway, but we're on to baseball. It's a big slate. I can share.
But meanwhile, the slate is like a shit show though.
With the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just go through it really quickly before I get into the screen share. Let me just grab my sheet real quick. But there's so many games. It's you have Boston and Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit. I don't think the Mets at Washington is going to end up being that scary. So I really think those are the main ones. And to be honest, I'm totally fine, getting away from those games or not. I mean, sure, there's some pieces that might show up, but I'm okay with when there's 14 games, just saying, you know what? Even if they play, do I need this to be optimal? Maybe sometimes you do, but I don't think that in these cases you necessarily do. So I'm not as maybe it's a not quite as big of a news thing for me with how I see things in the early going. Although am I missing something at the ownership? Maybe it is a little more significant because I think most of the stuff is going to come from I think you're going to see the A's everywhere. I think you're going to see a lot of Seattle. And when you see the A's and the Seattle as the most popular stacks on the 14-game slates, and not that I don't like them, just that I think there's probably other things we can find to do. Same thing with Minnesota being the third most popular probably today. So it's going to be pretty easy to find pivots, I think, for what is going to be the chalk on this big of a slate.
Yeah, as we were mentioning, I mean, I had you mentioned Boston, Cleveland, and then what did you mention? Baltimore, Detroit. Is that on the slate or no?
Baltimore, Detroit's not on the slate.
Okay, and the Cubs game is not on the slate either, I think.
Oh, I thought about Boston, Cleveland is not. Yeah, the Cubs game is not on the slate.
And the only thing, again, I don't know if it's still the case, but you play yellow games in Washington at your own risk.
Yep.
They do have kind of, I don't know whether it's more narrative than anything, but I just still have some PTSD from Washington canceling games when there's not a cloud in the sky, pretty much.
Yeah. Although they're not on the slate either.
Oh, Mets at Washington? I thought
Washington. I thought they would have been. I just didn't look at the time, but I guess
so. It's just Boston at Cleveland. All right, that's easy then. All right, no problem.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. We got Toronto facing your Yankees, and I got to tell you, I'm very unimpressed by this Toronto hitting in general. But this is a spot where I would consider taking some shots on them, and they are, because they've been pretty inept. They are cheap enough. You've got guys who are like usually 6K at like 4K, 4,500. Santander got up to 6K. Bo Bichette was 6K. Vlad used to always be 6K. And they're all cheaper than that now because they don't hit anymore. I think that Toronto's interesting here, and I think that the Yankees are interesting here. So right off the bat, I think both these guys look pretty good to me.
For the uninitiated, I have three different ways that I rate teams via stacks. Actually, four. But the main three are just by raw points of the top five guys, top five man stacked in the team. Second way is basically by point per dollar, best 5 point per dollars on the team. And then also this kind of modified stack score, which I combine the two of those. There's a fourth one where I could do leverage also, but I still haven't figured out how to put that up there. But I'll just say this, that my modified stack score, which kind of combines the two whatever main ones, has Toronto as the best overall value stack, and by a lot actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just throw that out there. And I also do not have them as even like approaching the highest owned. So I think right off the bat, I think we're onto something. The other thing, it is 70 degrees here. It won't be 70 later, but it won't be 40. And I'm with you. I definitely try. I'm not getting the same degree of Yankees maybe as you might want, but definitely into the Toronto thing.
Yeah, and the winds, like there's some wind. But it is 66 degrees, but it says a game time and 11 miles an hour wind that's sort of across the field, but maybe a little bit in from right. So maybe slightly prefer the righties over the lefties. Not a huge thing to me though, not big enough. But I think these are two stacks that can get it going and that are, again, the regular totals. SaberSim's got them a full run higher than the regular total, and I would tend to agree with that as a way of looking at this one. All right, Boston and Cleveland, Sheets. What are you thinking here? Weather and everything.
Yeah, I'm not getting to either of the pitchers, and I'm not getting to either of the stacks. So, well, okay. I would have, if this game plays, I have Boston as just, I consider in the mix. But aside from that, I think it's a nice game to cross off if there continues to be weather concerns. And as I'm looking at my stacks, not to go backwards, but I do have the Yankees when I'm just on raw points as number two. So I do have both those. They're just not as cheap, obviously, as some of the others.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to point out about this, boss. They're going to have some ownership anyway. I don't particularly like this game, and I'm okay with just going ahead and Xing this out. And I'll have to X out the players after this, but I'm not going to go through all that right now. But I'm going to X out the Boston and Cleveland side, because it's not like they're going to have like massive ownership, but if they're going to get some kind of ownership, and I'm really worried about the weather. Now, if the weather changes, I'll just flip it later in the day. But I don't think I need to play this game, especially while it might have some ownership. It was like the Royals the other night. The Royals, that game got canceled, and people had a pretty hefty amount of the Royals still. I don't remember what they were owned, but it wasn't nothing. And and that game did not play. So I wouldn't mess with it because I don't really like it anyway. So probably going to X out that game for all intents and purposes. And from what I'm looking at, by the way, a radar screen here, it looks like once it rains, it's got like 99% on the precipitation after 8 p.m. all the way like through the night. So it's going to be ugly if they do get it in. And doesn't feel like a great spot for me to attack. And hey, look, if they go off, I could be wrong, but even if they go off, there's probably going to be another stack we find that does as well. Maybe it's Toronto and New York. All right, Houston in KC. Sheets, what do you like here?
Houston, KC, none of the pitching. And hitting, I don't know, nothing. I don't have anything from this game.
So first of all, I think that people should be betting the Seth Lugo strikeout prop. I don't understand. I think it's 4.5, and SaberSim's got him at 4. I think that I think most of the time he's faced like sneaky tough teams. Like at Baltimore, I know they've been struggling this year, but Baltimore, Cleveland, New York, and Detroit are all decent teams. And then he had Minnesota mixed in, who's not very good, who he actually had a decent game against. I think Seth Lugo is like a large field tournament play I could talk myself into, but that's pretty much all I have from this game. I don't want the hitting. I'm not that interested in anything else. And I think it's just a little bit of a very cheap Seth Lugo who makes the list for me, but he's not necessarily he's not like a priority of any means. He's just a guy who I'm considering as a pivot off of some of the other stuff. I'm not going to X him out or anything. Not going to X him out. Not going to play him too much. Pablo Lopez and Kyle Hendricks, and I think that Minnesota will be the third most popular stack today, which doesn't mean that they're going to be especially high owned, because there's a lot of stacks to like, and it's just a big slate. So what do you like here, Sheets? And are you interested in Lopez? Or are you interested in the Minnesota bats?
Okay, first of all, none of the pitching.
No Lopez for you at all.
No, I'm not. Oh, no, there he is. Sorry, he's up. He's higher up than I thought. Yeah, he's definitely battling for SP2 for sure.
Yeah.
I have. As a matter of fact, unless you could somehow afford both the 10K guys, or 2 of the 10K guys, I think the Lopez is going to be pretty obvious. Not obvious, but pretty usable SP2. Let's put it that way. I'm having 20% projected ownership. It's just an enormous slate. That's why it's that low, I guess. So yeah, I do like that. As far as the hitting goes, I have. Let's see where I have Minnesota ranked here. Yeah, I have them ranked kind of tied for second with two other teams. So yeah, I definitely like Minnesota. Do I have them as the most popular? I have them as like the 4th most popular, actually. But that's not that they're saying they're unpopular. I will say that we need 1 out of 3 wins.
Yes, we could use this just
one. No, he's one. Not a big deal. We should be able to get it.
Hopefully, this is the one. I mean, this is. You're not going to get a bigger favorite than this one.
Right. So let's get it out of the way now. Good idea. But yeah, I like Minnesota. I like Lopez.
Yeah, I like. I'm telling you, it worked the other night. I won the single entry the night before last with a Minnesota stack. And also the Heaney against the Angels, which again, I mentioned all day was going to be low owned, and I didn't understand why. And Heaney was 4% in the single entry, and he had the highest score on the slate. Yeah. So in this one, I think I like Minnesota. I just feel great. It just feels like I see the same thing every time from them. But then they score. For whatever reason, they score the 7th and 8th inning, and then they end up getting their 6 runs and not looking so bad. But they're usually like one hit until the 6th.
Right.
But I do like the Twins tonight. Just raw play, their value. There's all kinds of stuff. You have to worry about some pinch hitters at times. And the thing to consider about Lopez, just to make him a little bit scary, is that he did come back from the 15-day DL. He got hurt in his start, and that we've got him at 85 pitches right now. I think that's probably about right, but he is one of the advantages of playing him usually is he's usually a guy who can get into the mid 90s to 100, and I don't think you're going to see that kind of upside from him tonight. It's possible, but I think it's unlikely. All right, Liberator and Patrick in St. Louis. Sheets, what do you like here?
I don't know. Am I supposed to like anything here?
You don't have to like anything.
Yeah, if that's the case, I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to like anything. Let me just see. So, St. Louis, Milwaukee. No, I'm not. I'm not getting to any of the pitching or the hitting here.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this one. Kind of mildly interested in St. Louis, which is not a team that I just do not play very often. You want to talk about cheap though? Like these guys cost nothing.
Yeah.
Are we supposed I don't know. I still don't know who Chad Patrick. I mean, I know the name and everything. I don't know who he is as a pitcher. I don't know whether we're going to assume because of a couple starts that he's decent. And we've already seen the Brewers bullpen blow up a couple of times this year. The historically great bullpen used to be. I think St. Louis is an interesting contrarian stack, but certainly doesn't fit the priority thing. But that's pretty much all I have from this game. Don't really like anything else that I can find. I guess I wouldn't cross off Liberator, but I'm not going to try to play it. And I wouldn't cross off Patrick, but I'm not going to try to play it either. And I'm not going to have more than, a couple percentage points, if anything. All right. Then we get the Colorado game. And I just want to point out, so it's 52 degrees. You've got 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from center. There's probably going to be some rain, but they're going to play. We know Colorado plays. And you have a fairly low total for a Colorado game. 9.5 between, teams that we've scored. We just saw the Reds score 24 runs. Not getting the kind of ownership we're used to seeing here. And it's mostly on the Colorado side, oddly enough. I don't know if I buy this. What is the reason? Is it just the pricing? I guess it's the pricing. So this is the time, I guess I'll just lead in with this one. Because the pricing is so high on so much of Cincinnati, I think that makes them a terrific play because I do not think people are going to play them that heavily. The 9-mile-an-hour winds aren't quite enough to scare me. Now, if this was going to be popular, I would use the counter argument. But you see like a less than 5% owned stack for Cincinnati in Colorado. I think we're supposed to take some chances. And I'm also I'm the guy who sort of defends Freeland as to, okay, or I've defended him in the past that he can get by at home. So if you tell me they're going to be low owned, I can certainly talk myself into Cincinnati. I am not that interested in Colorado, even though they hit lefties better. Could be okay. But I actually think that if you want to go super praying in, probably wrong slate, Andrew Abbott would be kind of interesting to me on other slates because the strikeout upside is definitely there against this Colorado team.
So I'm my analysis is a little bit different than yours. I think the Reds are going to be enormous chalk here.
How?
I don't know. I mean, they're I have them projected that way already.
You have them as very popular?
I do. I got McLean at 15%, De La Cruz at 15%, even Marte at 10%, Spencer Steer at like 10%.
Okay.
I mean, I have the combination of the highest value guys. I have them competing for top owned stack on the board. So I was looking at it from the other perspective. I was looking at it from, do I really want to play them so chalky? And you're looking at it, boy, you get them not so chalky. Maybe you should play them. I think we're both saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So we have to just take a better look at the ownership here. But I'm currently getting the Reds as what do I have them? I kind of tied for second, third, and fourth. I had Toronto won, Toronto clearly won. Then a tie between Minnesota, another team we'll get to, and Cincinnati and Cincinnati. So I actually like that. as far as we'll just have to take a look at the ownership. I'm not gonna play any of the pitchers here in Coors, and I'm not getting to Colorado.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they are expensive, and to get a full 5-man stack in, you'd have to find some ways to save money because their lowest price player, they've got Espinal at 3,600, so I guess there's one low piece, but you 6K, 6,400, 5K, 4K, 41. It's not like they're all crazy expensive. It's just that they're all the middling guys aren't the ones you want so much.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm curious. I bet you they are going to be higher than what I'm currently seeing from SaberSim. And Abbott, keep him for some lottery shots, but that's pretty much all the pitching for me. All right, we have what should be a very obvious Logan Gilbert play and in Seattle, and then you're going to have a really chalky Seattle stack in the worst hitters park on the slate. Feels very much like Gilbert and fade Seattle to me.
Well, the good news is that if you want to do that, you're going to be a little contrarian from other SaberSim users because Adam and I talked about this last week, and SaberSim really does love to put the pitcher stack correlation together.
Sure.
So if you get a bunch of all these like Logan Gilbert lineups, then you're going to get like a little bias towards those lineups grabbing some Seattle. So and that's partially why Seattle is showing up as chalk. Like I have them alongside the Reds as the two chalkiest ones, and I'm with you. I don't have them projected all that great. I have them 5th, and if I have them 5th and tied for top ownership, then that seems like a pretty classic DFS fade. Now again, we're not talking when I say where I have them and where they're ranked. Again, that dispenses with the sims and the lineup builds and all that kind of stuff. Just as far as just taking a step back and looking at it, Seattle doesn't seem like the type of situation where you want to play as the highest owned team. That's it. So I agree with you. I think Logan Gilbert is okay. It's baseball, so nobody's unfadable.
Yeah.
But let's just say that how do you put this? Like if you play cash games and you don't have Logan Gilbert, then like they said, send me your head-to-heads. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I mean you have to play him in cash games. He's going to be 1,000,000% owned. And can you play less than field value in the big GPP lottery of 13 games? Of course, but he certainly looks to be the best play by pretty damn healthy amount.
Yeah, but I feel the same, and that's probably what I'll be doing. If it tries to give me Miami, I'll spit it right back.
Yeah,
I don't mind like a 3-man or something from Miami if you wanted to go that route, but I'm not making a 5-man stack on a 14-game slate with Miami. And again, if Seattle was low owned here for any reason, I would be singing a very different tune about Seattle. One thing that's interesting is that Dylan Moore, who seems to keep leading off, it keeps being projected by batting 7th, 8th, or 9th, and always ends up leading off. So keep an eye on that one. And that ownership of him, the guy I always like to play as a one-off or in a mini stack, because maybe you do use Seattle as a mini stack, right, as a complimentary. Just keep an eye where the lineups come out because that game starts a little bit later. And so far, we've got some stacks that are interesting. We haven't gotten to that many interesting pitchers, which is interesting. I think we're going to have a couple to talk about.
Yes.
Up,
yes. So again,
about these guys in San Diego.
Yeah. So I think that it's a Logan Gilbert X pairing. You know what I mean? Like to figure out who that X is, and I think that Michael King is a pretty logical second one. He's a little expensive, but he's a pretty logical one, and a little less logical. The Shane Baz is not bad.
Right.
Okay. Not the greatest matchup, obviously, but
not the usual, but it's this. I mean, this Padre team, you take out, so you have Gavin Sheets batting and Luis Arias, who leads the league in hitting every year. Spot. You've got all you've got really are the other guys. You've got this is the lineup from 5 on. Tirso Ornelas or Oscar Gonzalez, Jose Iglesias, Tyler Wade, Elias Diaz.
Yeah.
None of those guys, that sounds like a minor league team right there.
Yeah, I agree. So I like both sides of here for possible SP2 exposure or SP whatever exposure. And as far as the hitting goes, I'm not getting to any of them.
Yeah, this game tied for the lowest on the slate at 7 with, oddly enough, The only time maybe you'll see the Dodger game tied for the lowest game on the slate, and we'll get into why in a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, so I like both these pitchers as I think that Baz might be the tournament sharp thing to do. You know what I mean? Maybe because I'm watching the San Diego lineup, like you've got Bogarts, who's solid but had a bad start to the year, like in general solid, but it's had a bad start to the year. You got Tatis and Machado, who are obviously great, and then everybody else feels like they're playing for like the worst team in baseball from last year, kind of a deal. You know, it just feels like a minor league lineup for San Diego. And it doesn't mean they can't get there. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of like the idea of using some Baz at low ownership here against the perception of San Diego's strength. All right. Speaking of other creative pitchers here, what is going on? I understand recency bias, but Cheech, you telling me these guys are each going to be 5% owned?
Who are we talking about?
Oh,
Zach Gallen and Chris Sale.
I mean, this
I mean, I have them like about 10%. And they are, again, they're competing for that SP2 role, you know, and that's they both have upside, and I got no problem with that. I mean, honestly, I'm almost, I want to say certainly not getting to the hitting. Let me see. I don't really have much interest in the hitting, so I'll throw those guys into the hopper. Why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little further than throw them into the hopper and put them in the hyper version of the Shane Baz category, because we don't have that many pitchers on this slate. On most slates, even against each other, this would be, and again, you're gonna have the roof open. It's gonna be warmer. You've got the low strikeout things because of the slow start from Gallen, or the one great start, then some bad games. We have not seen Chris Sale look right. He's been in some bad matchups. This is another one, but I don't think these guys are done or broken. And this is plenty of reason for me to say, okay, it's early in the season. Where does the overreaction come from? And based on a few starts, I think it's these two pitchers. I will have at least, I'll have at least 15% of each of them. So I guess I'll be at least triple the field on each of them. I really think you should be playing these guys. It's just the right process to use the upside pitchers. And their strikeout rate, even with all of this other stuff, they're not going to be the highest on the slate, but they're not far beneath it. I just think this is a great spot to get some real low ownership. I mean, Gallen 7,800 against an Atlanta team that has been shut out 4 times this season. Like, I think we should actually really be considering this. This feels like a really sharp thing to do. Get well overweight Gallen and Sale. And, look, it's tough. All those games in the desert seem to score 100 runs these days. But I like the idea of getting to those pitchers a lot.
Now, before we move on, did you I don't know what you said. Did you say, again, since we're looking for SP2s, did you have any interest in Andrew Abbott in that Colorado game?
Yeah, I did. I said that I think that on a different slate, I think I'd have a little more interest because I like these other pivots in regular conditions a little bit better. But I do think he's interesting.
Okay, so White Sox against Oakland. Who's the pitchers here? I guess nobody. I don't have any pitchers in this game. So this is another kind of don't shoot the messenger thing, but I have Chicago as tied for that second, third, and fourth best value in this game. So I'll just kind of leave it at that, and I have them as low owned also. I don't have. You'd think you'd be getting to the Oaklands more, but I'm not really seeing it. Kind of strange, actually. Maybe I don't. You know what? I gotta read. I don't even have Oakland. I don't even have Oakland projected. How about that?
I think they're gonna be so popular. Maybe that's.
Yeah, I don't even have them projected. So okay. So I did something wrong here. So yeah, but I do have the White Sox.
Interesting. Okay, so I actually can totally.
Oh, there they are. There's Oakland. I see them. I'm looking for OAK, but there's ATH. That's the same thing. Yeah, I have Oakland as third highest owned behind Seattle and Cincinnati, and I don't have the Whites. I don't have them projected very well at all. So I don't know what to say.
Yeah, Like I've got, well, I think partly that, but is it factoring in the ownership? Because I think they're going to have some decent ownership. Although Goldie's got them a lot lower than SaberSim.
Right.
I think SaberSim might be closer to right on this. I think people like to play them in that stadium, against a guy named Sean Burke. Basically a bullpen game from a terrible bullpen. Or a near bullpen game. All right, so I guess Burke can fire it out there. He can throw enough pitches. He's just probably not going to. I have to have some interest in anybody who's pitching against the White Sox, so I'll take a little bit of interest in Severino. I kind of like your White Sox idea, Sheets. That feels like a pretty sharp thing to do to me, and they are cheap, obviously. So I think the White Sox in all formats are kind of interesting. The only thing I'd just point out is that Severino has not been great this year. But he hasn't been bad. He's been solid enough. It's not like people are roughing him up. He actually pitched really well in his last start, but his strikeouts are just so low. But this is a team that can help him out with that. He pitched eight. How about this? 8 innings in his last start, 3 hits, no walks, 1 strikeout. I don't even know how you do that. In modern baseball, that's really hard to do. So mild interest in Severino and interest in both stacks. And I kind of like this White Sox thing. I got the feeling that SaberSim's going to give me some of it without doing anything. So I think I'm going to be into the White Sox a little bit idea. I like that idea. Also, it's the first late game stack that I kind of have liked. I'm not as interested in Seattle as some other people maybe. So it gives you some swappability later on if that's your thing. All right, Pittsburgh and the Dodgers. We get Skeens in LA, and it's the only time it'll probably be the biggest underdog Skeens is all season. And that's pretty much what it is. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm not getting to anything here. I think Yamamoto is an obvious, although I would say Yamamoto is a very, very obvious pivot off of Gilbert with that price.
I think he might be the same ownership too.
I have Gilbert at 40 and Yamamoto at 25.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you could be right. I mean, Pittsburgh's no murderer's row themselves. But Logan Gilbert always gets freaking jammed. You know what I mean?
But have you seen what Yamamoto's been doing?
Yeah, but no one else cares about him. You know what I mean? They just play Logan Gilbert. That's what they do every single day.
In 2 tough matchups, he just put up 37 and 34.
Yeah. So obviously, I personally don't know if I can get to both of them. You're better at that than I am. But I guess if we can play White Sox, sure, why not, right? Or who's that other team I talked about earlier? Like even forgot the other big values earlier. Toronto's actually, they're not too cheap.
Yeah, Toronto's pretty cheap actually.
Toronto, so yeah, I mean, yeah, you can play them both. I'm not getting to Skeens against the Dodgers, although he certainly has a ceiling. And I'm not getting the Dodgers against Skeens, although they have a ceiling. So that's so Yamamoto or nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, certainly not going to cross like one-offs off for the Dodgers. I always like the idea of getting them with low ownership. It feels like reaching to try to. I certainly, if I was playing the Dodgers, I probably just wouldn't play a 5-man of the Dodgers, but I would consider look at this. Are you ever going to see this again, Sheets? Every Dodgers sub 1%. I mean, sure, they might end up more than 1%, but I don't know. Ohtani's hit he had a home run in second at bat against Skeens. I don't know why he couldn't do it that, and then some. He might hit too. Skeens will challenge you. It's interesting. I would say the Dodgers rate to me for is like elite one-offs where you can spend money, and because you're never going to get this kind of ownership on them at all. And remember, after Skeens is out, you're going to get at least 1, possibly 2 at bats against a pretty fringy bullpen, to say the least. So I'm just always interested when teams get to like that sub 1% owned. It's like the Yankees and Dodgers when that happens. I just feel like, God, if they can just get to this pitcher earlier, maybe his arm cramps up, or maybe they just have they get those 5 runs early and they make him throw a lot of pitches through 4 or something like that. You might be looking at a gold mine at 0 ownership. So I did want to throw out that the Dodgers, I think, are live, but maybe more as a mini stack than a stack. And favorites being, Ohtani. I actually think Freeman in this matchup, and probably Betts. I mean, the normal names. Maybe throw Conforto in the mix, but I just like to, it's just how we just never see it. You know what I mean? So seeing the Dodgers at sub 1% is just kind of wild. All right, we'll move over to Texas and San Francisco, Verlander and Eovaldi. What do you like here, Sheets?
Yeah. What's the weather like in San Francisco tonight?
It's a fairly warm 55. No, I'm just kidding. That is what it is though. It's 55.
Yeah. I would be interested in a Texas stack as kind of a lower owned, whatever you want to call it, addition to the portfolio. Not top 5 or anything like that, but right below it, I have that. Aside from that, I mean, Verlander, Eovaldi, kind of like second tier SP2s as far as I'm concerned today.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that. It's Eovaldi's funny. Like he only pitches well against good teams, and he struggles against teams that don't look good on paper. And Verlander, I just don't know what to make out of him right now. Just to be completely honest.
I mean, he's got tricks, but he's not like somebody I want to play in DFS in a 14-game slate.
But he's 7,300 against a team that hasn't hit the ball all season and is missing their best hitter by far. Jock Peterson, Sheets. Do you know what he's hitting this year?
I know, like less than 0. I think.
Yeah, I think somehow they gave him like even below 0. That's what they said. They're taking sub hits away from him. Dustin Harris is batting 3rd for the Rangers. Dustin Harris. Okay, this is a young guy. This was not in the cards. You have it's just and Simeon's been terrible outside of the series in Oakland. Garcia hasn't been great. Peterson's been terrible. Jung's been terrible. Berger. I don't know. Maybe I could throw in a little bit of Verlander, but I thought about like the Giants are good fastball hitters, and Eovaldi's going to throw mostly fastballs. I don't know if this is the right slate to do it. So I think I've got enough other teams, but most of it's the earlier days. I mostly have liked the later stacks these days. But for me, the priority pitchers for me are Gilbert, Yamamoto, Lopez, followed by King. And then I love this Sale, Gallen, Baz at low ownership.
There's a lot of guys. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pitchers you can play.
There's a lot of pitchers you can play, but I think we have decidedly, well, at least ones that everyone's going to favor, in the Yamamoto, Gilbert, Lopez. I think those guys are going to be the ones who everyone plays.
Right.
I just think at some point, and people are, no matter what you say to anybody, Sheets, everybody's a game log watcher to some extent. And even the projections are somewhat of game log watchers. And Yamamoto just putting up 1 million and looking like the most unhittable pitcher is going to register for some people. So Yamamoto, Gilbert, Lopez make the most sense, but you have the dream pivot with and King, by the way. But you have the dream pivots with guys like Sale, Gallen, and Baz. And I would just encourage everybody to be overweight those plays because at least one of those guys probably puts up a game that's going to compete with the Yamamoto, Lopez, Gilbert range. And Gilbert being the best pitcher on the slate, he's not a guy who has to put up a huge number. Yamamoto will put up a huge number when he has a great game. Gilbert can have a great game with, 7 innings, 6 strikeouts kind of a thing. Yamamoto, if he has a great game, it's 7 innings, 11 strikeouts or something like that, All right. And then the hitting for me, Toronto, Yankees, and Minnesota as the highest priorities, followed by the White Sox, Oakland, Cincinnati, and St. Louis. That's where I'm at. Anything else you want to add, Sheets, before we get out of here?
No, I mean, we're good. I'm good for whatever 5:30ish today.
Yeah, perfect. And then we'll talk some baseball and some basketball. And I'm excited about tonight's games. We got my Lakers in action, and I'm very curious to see what happens when they go back to Minnesota. I got a feeling this is the Anthony Edwards scores 40 real life points game.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And that doesn't mean the Lakers don't win. It just means that's what I think happens tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody today. We'll see you live at 5:30 Eastern. And yeah.